afternoon. Welcome to Why Is This a Thing? Lot to get to today, but first we have to finish this conversation we were having off air.
Okay.
Nick, I want you to very delicately repeat the argument you just made.
Very strange.
Well, okay. Yeah. I was talking about how I love how niche sports have like just one athlete who tends to dominate.
Right.
And then I was saying how, you know, I think if you take like the top athlete in almost any sport and you put them all together in something, I'm trying to think of something that is the most purely competitive, not necessarily athletic, not necessarily skill-based, but just competitive. I bet you they'd be on par with each other.
Like NASCAR racing?
Well, that's actually, I think, pretty athletic. It's a hard sport.
Okay, so are we measuring now willpower?
Yeah, competitiveness,
Killer
right?
instinct? Is that what we're doing?
Okay.
Winning quality? Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for a second I thought he was going to say, like, if you were to swap roles, like putting Tom Brady in the pool with Michael Phelps or something. And I was like...
There are definitely certain sports where you can get away with that, as we know from...
I could outswim Tom Brady. I couldn't outswim someone like Michael Phelps, though.
So a good example is, like, you know, Michael Jordan, one of the best basketball players of all time, was a pretty decent baseball player, right?
It was actually not bad. People say that he was terrible. Look at his numbers. He's actually not a terrible player.
Yeah, maybe he's, like, terrible compared to, like, the top of the top, like... you know, baseball players, but when you think about it, like compared to like an average guy, he was pro, right?
Well, I think that the problem with that. I mean, no, people didn't want to. I think accept him as a baseball player. I think that's really the bigger problem,
right? But what I'm saying is that generally, if you look at the top athletes in almost any sport, they all have very similar qualities, and they could probably compete.
Well, the greatest athlete of all time, Bo Jackson, was somehow one of the great football players of his generation and also one of the great baseball players of his generation, which is something you really don't have anymore because they're like child prodigies. It's like you're raising Tiger Woods from 6 months old to become a great golfer. So unless you have that, you can't just like slot in, hey, I'm a big athlete and I can dominate. But back in the day, like Bo Jackson... fucking shredded on the football field. Incredible running back. And then I think he's the only player, correct me if I'm wrong here, people at home, the only player to hit a major league home run and score an NFL touchdown in the same week. Like he would go play baseball and like was an awesome hitter and then went and played football on the weekends.
What a badass.
It's amazing. It's like if
incredible.
Aaron Judge was like, hey, I'm going to go play for the Giants on the weekends in between hitting for the Yankees. It's crazy.
So, like, I'll give you another example.
But it is possible,
okay?
Is my point. If you're Bo Jackson.
I bet you an Olympic gymnast could probably be a phenomenal, like, 400-meter track runner.
Maybe.
Not compared to other Olympic track runners, but especially compared to the general... Right, but compared to the general public, I bet you they're pretty damn phenomenal. And I bet you if you put an Olympic gymnast up against... possibly, you know, maybe like an Olympic swimmer, and you had them run the 400-meter together. You know, I bet you they wouldn't be too far off.
Are you stacking them next to just the general population, like people in college and whatnot?
No, I'm stacking them next to each other. Let's say they're both, you know, professional world-class athletes, and you put them in a sport that neither of them is their main sport.
Yeah.
I bet you they would be pretty close, generally.
In some instances, I think with those sports, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Tom Brady literally couldn't do anything else.
Yes.
It literally could not be anybody other than he couldn't be another position in football. He's just a quarterback.
He's very good at throwing a ball.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Tiger Woods could have played baseball.
I wouldn't be that, you know, I wouldn't be that surprised if Tom Brady was okay at golf.
Maybe.
I think he's actually a pretty bad golfer. But yeah, point taken.
Like, it wouldn't
I understand.
shock me,
I understand
you know
your
what I
point.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Tony Romo's a great golfer.
Really?
I think,
Tony Romo's
I think
a great
to a degree
golfer,
we don't want to compare, like when we're thinking Tom Brady, like would he be you know, horrible at basketball, right? Like we obviously don't want to compare it to basketball.
He can't move.
Like, I know, but we don't want to compare it to like NBA. right?
No, I think you're right though. So your point,
we want to compare it to like Brian Scalabrine. Could he be like...
You love referencing Brian Scalabrine.
I do, because I grew up with it. My dad loves the Celtics, and he would always be like, Scalabrine.
Brian Scalabrine is Nick's favorite athlete of all time.
No,
I don't know why. I can't explain it to people.
I just love referencing the guy.
He loves Brian Scalabrine.
Because you know what? He just collected rings.
He was so average. He was so average. Yeah, 100% right.
He collected rings, and now he just sits there, and he's like a commentator, right? What a career.
And a pretty bad commentator.
What an incredibly successful career for an incredibly average player.
So he's like,
it's just...
He's a Ringo Starr, is that what he is?
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's a great comparison, right. Yes. Brian Scalabrine.
Best comparison.
The Ringo Starr of the Boston Celtics.
Even though I don't dislike Ringo Starr. I like Ringo Starr quite a bit, actually.
Everybody likes Ringo. I mean...
Yeah. Right. Scalabrine had his moments.
Have you ever heard Ringo's solo albums, though?
Yeah, they're not... Well...
They're terrible, Adam.
They're not great, Adam.
Objectively terrible.
Let's not go there, Adam. Let's not go there.
I could get down to some Ringo.
They're objectively bad.
And like literally
it's not
the other three, Paul, incredible solo career.
Yes.
John, obviously, great couple albums, as short-lived as he was. The Harrison solo albums are
amazing.
So underrated.
Yeah.
Rivals some of the stuff he did with the Beatles. That's how good the Harrison stuff is.
Even that guy who was considered the fifth Beatle, who was like their main mixer and everything, went on
George
to have
Martin.
a very prolific music career.
Yes. Yeah, George Martin.
And then Ringo just sucks.
Poor Ringo. I have a soft spot for Ringo.
You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine. Come on, dude.
George Harrison, in a lot of ways, he could be my favorite.
Oh, he's by far and away my favorite Beatle. Yeah. How did we get here? Oh, no, here's the thought experiment, though, that you brought up. So you said take the most competitive... You said cornhole off air, right?
Yeah, I said cornhole. So because I think that's the most competitive, non-skill-based, non-athleticism-based activity I can think of.
Okay, so list the competitors in a cornhole tournament, and let's see how we would do.
Michael Phelps, LeBron James.
Yeah.
We got Joey Chestnut.
Okay.
The world hot dog eating fame.
Yes. Tiger?
Tiger's good. Tiger's good.
Barry Bonds?
No.
Mike Trout? Let's put Mike Trout.
Let's do what's our bicyclists?
Lance Armstrong?
Yeah. Let's take him.
I guess Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong. I do not want Lance Armstrong on my cornhole team, by the way.
Why not?
Let's get a couple of women.
Serena.
Let's get Serena Williams, right?
Yeah.
And
who's the chick that's in the soccer team that everybody's going crazy for because Trump hates her?
Oh yeah, Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our cornhole tournament.
Okay, first overall pick. Who do you want?
Joey Chestnut.
Okay.
Jesus.
Listen. A man who eats hot dogs is also a man who plays cornhole.
That's an excellent.
Yeah, it's very true. In his backyard, eating hot dogs and playing cornhole. Yeah.
I think he has the clear advantage here.
I think definitely has the competitive drive. Here's what I'm looking for.
I think LeBron, too, has a great shot.
Different.
I think he has a great shot for second.
Different. Too much of a diva.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it.
He falls down every time he
he misses the board.
Or no, the beanbag hits him and he falls.
He flops. He's flopping in the backyard. Ref, how didn't you see that?
See, he is the kind of guy who would be like, it's not far enough away or it's not close enough. You know, the hole is not big enough, that sort of thing.
Too much ego. Yeah. I can't deal with it. He's going to be yelling at me every time I miss the board. I can't do it.
Now,
I need a good teammate.
Seems right up Tiger's alley as well. I mean,
Tiger, same thing though. Tiger's going to yell at me.
Yeah, but it's also cornhole is golf.
Here's the difference. Tiger's going to be sitting there even if we lose the match. He'll be standing in the backyard by himself. Everyone's left the barbecue, practicing his cornhole throw for 8 hours into the night. That's the difference.
No. The difference between having someone like LeBron and Tiger Woods on your team is like, if I'm getting yelled at by LeBron, I'm just like, this guy's fucking annoying, but whatever. Whereas like Tiger Woods getting mad at me would like disappoint me, you know? There's something about Tiger Woods like showing indifference or just disapproval to be like, wow, like he's making me feel bad.
It's like your dad hating on you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Mm-hmm. I think I definitely want Brady is my point. I want Brady.
Brady's not a diva?
Brady's going to support me, man. Brady's got my back.
I don't know about that.
Brady's got my back.
He's gonna drop strategies.
Drop strategies?
He is.
He's going to take a pay cut.
He might be a lot of work.
So we can replenish the system.
He's going to hold you by the waist and he's going to guide you.
Yeah.
What's Michael Phelps doing then?
Phelps is high as fuck. That's all I know.
And he keeps doing so well, and it's pissing you
Phelps
off.
has a joint in his hand.
He keeps fucking winning. God damn it.
He's pounding a beer and he keeps sinking them straight in.
He's not
It's
even
just insane.
looking. He's throwing it behind his back. Somehow it's going in.
You're right.
Yeah.
Probably the best player, not fun to play with.
Yeah.
No, I don't want Phelps.
I do want to say that, this idea that Michael Phelps is the best athlete in the world because he has the most medals is bullshit. Because as much as I was a swimmer and I love watching swimming in the Olympics and everything, but it's all the same. They shouldn't have that many medals. There's a disproportionate amount of medals given away for swimming.
Yeah,
Sure,
of course.
yeah.
When the same guy can do, especially if you're a medley swimmer like he is, he can do any stroke and just dominate.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what bothers me about the Olympics. Like, I enjoy watching them as much as the next guy, but the idea that this is the display of the best athletics we have to offer is just not true.
Well, it's like, what is there, one basketball medal?
Yeah.
Right. And the best players don't even play.
And then there's like 13 swimming medals or something.
Exactly.
There's so many different... It doesn't make any sense. I mean...
Right. They eliminated baseball entirely.
Yeah.
Baseball they got rid of. They don't have it anymore.
That's so weird.
That's... for... I don't know. It's kind of weird because, I get it in gymnastics why there's so many different ones because they're all so different.
Right.
And you see different athletes dominating at different, events.
Well, there's also just different...
Same with track and field generally.
There's very different methods to it as well. I mean, historically, when they were doing the high jump, everyone used to go over on their stomach, and then this one guy was like, "Nope, I'm going to do it on my back," and changed it forever.
Yeah.
So there's a different method to that kind of madness.
With running, though, it's not the case.
No,
it's just
you still
running
have
a straight line.
You have the 100 and the 200.
Right.
Those guys are the same. The 400 and the 800, those guys are the same. And then you got the 1500 and the 3000, those guys are the same.
But
and
there's literally
even some
there's
crossover.
No mystery if you're watching Usain Bolt who's going to win. There's literally none. He's the fastest man that's ever lived.
Well, I also hate the 100 meter because I would say 80% of that race is getting off on the gun.
Sure.
That's it. I mean, it's because it's just so ridiculous at this point. I almost think I almost think the swimming events are all too short to really properly measure who is the best.
That's a fair point.
At that stroke. And I kind of think the 100 meter has that same flaw.
Even though in swimming it feels like the winner always wins by like a fifth of a second.
That's kind of my point. I almost think it needs to be longer.
Right.
A little bit. Just because, especially if it's like a single stroke, it's like, well, who's really the best? It's like, they're all so close.
And but the thing is, it's also so technical. It's like, even if like someone, if you were to just have them swim like from one end of the pool to the other, and they're not really doing anything else, you could get a good sense of how they're measuring up just based on speed. But like someone like let's say one guy is faster than the other. If this faster guy screws up just a little bit on his flip turn, he's done.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
It's all the turn, isn't it?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's the turn and it's the start of the race generally because you don't want to come up for air for a long time. You want to stay underwater and just kick and get really far. Right. A lot of these guys get all the way to the other side without coming up for air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to. Yeah. Sometimes you have to do that though.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
Interesting thought experiment. Point is, I want Brady.
I think Joey Chestnut is gonna dominate at the cornhole though.
Certainly would be a fun time.
I don't know. I still think, even though I'm not sure I'd want him on my team, I think Michael Phelps is the clear winner here.
Maybe. I mean, if the question is who's the biggest competitor, how about Roger Federer? We didn't even talk about Federer. There's a guy I'd want. Give me Federer dominating tennis at age like 45, however old he is.
Sure.
Yeah. Mental toughness. That's what I'm looking for. Mental toughness.
What about
I think all of those people exhibit it though.
Yes.
Ooh.
I think they're all competitive. I think they're all consistent.
Well, let's go back in time a bit. What if we had a Muhammad Ali?
Oh, boy.
That'd be interesting.
Punches thrown, man. Too much of a head case. Couldn't take it. You think so? No, couldn't take it.
See, I know you're saying these things to be funny because we're talking about cornhole. I legitimately think that like by the second game, every single one of these people would be sinking it every single time.
Yes.
Maybe.
I really do think so because they're all very hardworking, very serious, very consistent, and just it's that kind of person.
Okay.
The point is with athletics is it's really all work ethic. Like there are a few guys that come around and they're just bigger than everyone else. Like you have your Shaquille O'Neals who like don't practice and are just indifferent, but he's a freak of nature, so he's good at basketball. But the vast majority of them, at least the ones that you respect, the only thing they have in common is work ethic. It's really all it is. Like Tom Brady is a stick of a human being, but he's a great athlete for that reason.
Right, and if you took some of the best athletes in the world, like someone like Michael Phelps or LeBron James or something, and you put them in some really, really niche sport, they might blow the best person in the world out of the water.
No question
because
about that.
It's so niche,
Maybe.
No question.
So if you can be the best at a sport that's so mainstream, imagine
LeBron James would be the greatest rugby player of all time. There's no question in my mind about that.
I don't know. I think there might be some football players who could.
But LeBron would be an incredible tight end.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Gronk! Come on, man. I think he could be a better tight end than Gronk. He's incredible, this guy.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Let's move on. Let's get to movies.
Movies.
I can't wait for this, guys.
Yeah.
We're doing a movie called Piranha. Nick.
Yeah.
How do I want to do this? Oh, okay. There he goes, and he's off the frame. What movie did you watch yesterday?
Did I watch a different movie from you?
What'd you watch?
I watched Piranha.
From what year?
1978.
Okay. This morning I woke up.
Did you watch the wrong one?
I watched a movie called Piranha from 1978.
Okay.
Adam Hall.
Yes. Oh. Did Adam watch the wrong one?
Did you watch a movie this week, Adam?
For you guys, no.
Oh, wait, he didn't watch it at all?
I watched. I have seen.
What did you do, Adam?
For some reason, I got it in my head, and I don't know why, that I thought we were doing Piranha 3D.
How is that possible? That you got that in your head when I've seen the group chat several times. We said Piranha. We didn't say anything about 3D. Yeah. It was very clear, I thought. Very explicit.
I guess not to me for whatever stupid ass reason. So I have seen Piranha 3D. Still haven't watched Piranha from 1978.
Well, this is double unfortunate for you because A, we're not going to talk about that movie at all.
No.
And B, you have to sit here.
Yeah.
And try and participate in this conversation.
I could give it a shot. It's not the first time I've had to participate in a conversation for a movie that I hadn't seen.
Take a look at the group chat for a second. So, Nick, Adam and I talked about this. We're recording Saturday morning. Watch Piranha ahead of time. You say okay?
For a second, I noticed there were two Piranhas, like one that was released more recently. I think it was just a re-release, right?
No, there was another Piranha remake from the late 90s. This was not Adam's confusion, though. He never even thought about watching that movie. I do not see any mention of the phrase 3D. I understand that in the movie, according to Adam fucking Hall, the title screen just said Piranha, and it was implied that it's in 3D. But if you go on IMDb and you do a search, Piranha 3D is the name that you see.
So I saw the Piranha 3D, and I wasn't sure if it was just Piranha re-released in 3D or something like that, or like a remake that's very similar.
It's a remake of the 1978, essentially.
All right, hold up
essentially.
For a second. Hold up. Here's what's even more infuriating. You chose the movies! We gave you the keys! We said, Adam, what movies should we watch this month? Didn't we, Nick?
Yeah, that's sort of how it went.
Wait a minute! That's sort of how it went.
Oh,
this guy.
Yeah, we all discussed it. Listen, this was recorded. We all discussed it last week together.
Yes.
We didn't tell Adam, you pick the movies. We all kind of decided together. Adam was the expert on the subject.
Ah, he feigned expertise. That's what he did. He implied that he was an expert on the Piranha franchise. Adam, how many Piranha movies have you seen in entirety?
In entirety?
Yeah.
Just this one. I'm an expert on the Anaconda movies, definitely.
Yeah.
Has never seen the original Piranha.
Not seen the original Piranha.
Has not even seen Piranha 2 with James Cameron, which you talked about at length last week.
Seen most of it, not all of it. It's amazing, but yeah.
I can't believe this guy. I actually cannot believe this guy. I told him we were in the car getting Five Guys today. I wish Zach was here because he would have inflicted physical violence on you by now.
Oh God, yeah.
I so wish Zach was here for this.
Zach with those big muscles.
Oh God, I'm dead.
Can you imagine?
I'm so dead. He's gonna find me.
Think about, they used to beat Zach with pillowcases full of soap. Can you imagine what he would have done to you?
What would he have done to me? Fed me to some piranhas?
At the very least, he might have put piranha on your ass. On you. Started biting your skin off.
There's a scene in the remake where a piranha bites off a dude's dick and then spits it out. So
that did not happen in this movie.
That's too bad.
But I wouldn't have been surprised if it did. This movie was kind of... Here's what I want to say about the 1978 Piranha. It was a lot raunchier than I expected a 1978 movie to be. It was definitely a lot more of an exploitation film than I expected for the decade.
Which makes sense.
You're not allowed to chime in right now.
I know enough about the movie.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from you.
It's like from what I've seen of
I do not want to hear it.
It's a little exploitative, a little
in the doghouse.
Intense. Yeah, no, I got nothing.
I don't want to hear it from you. We'll talk about your movie in 2 years. So good thing that you've seen it. So now just take all those notes that you didn't write and bring it 2 years from now to the podcast. We'll talk about Piranha 3D. Not happening today.
Okay.
The first question I wrote down was, what the fuck is Adam's deal? And I'll tell you why I wrote that down. Because you have seen so many of these movies, and it just confuses me. And I don't mean to be judgmental, but it turned into a judgmental thing. I'm realizing now. So this is another schlocky horror movie from the 70s.
Okay.
It's what it is. It's not particularly gruesome. It's not overly violent. The design of the piranhas is fairly like realistic. You know, I wouldn't call it like over the top schlocky, but it's a derivative horror movie.
Okay. Figures. That's what it looked like.
Why have you seen so many of these movies?
I don't know, because I'm a dude.
I'm seriously interested. When you were growing up, what was your fascination with like the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Streets?
What made you flip on like this shit instead of like just watching like the fucking kids movies that were on TV?
Right.
Because those aren't fun. That's why.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like, why didn't you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender? Why are you watching this?
I was more embarrassed to watch stuff like that, I think. I was like, I just want to watch something that's a little more, like I don't know, just struck me as cool.
Adult?
Adult? No, not even that. I didn't watch Tremors and think that it was adult.
Yeah.
But I loved it anyway. I certainly didn't watch fucking Anaconda and think that it was adult. I was just like, yeah, this is a fun movie about a giant snake, and ooh, I like giant snakes.
Right.
And I like I like creature features and stuff like that. They're just fun.
So this is what interests me. I'm really confused. I've been trying to unlock this puzzle for a while. I'm serious. This is I'm actually questioning you. I'm not trying to make a show for the podcast. Most people that are really into film like you are, and most filmmakers specifically, love the types of movies that you love. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. Because growing up...
the creature feature type films?
Yeah, the schlocky horror B-movie stuff. And we cover movies like this a lot. And one of the through lines that we always see is David Fincher loved this movie. Or James Gunn loved this movie. Or, you know what I mean? Or Ryan Johnson loved this movie. That's something we hear over and over again when we talk about these schlocky 80s things. I want to know what it is from like a filmmaking level that you think spoke to you at a young age, whereas it didn't speak to someone like me who was really into movies, by the way, and was incredibly into movies growing up, but wasn't into movies the way that you were, and is certainly not interested in being a filmmaker like you are. Well, like, what do you think is the difference?
I mean, part of the difference between something like, I don't know, watching like Annie Hall if I'm younger,
right,
and watching something like Honestly This, which I imagine it's that I don't know, you can't make Annie Hall in your backyard. You can make something like, even like something in the spirit of like Piranha 3D in your backyard. You could make a schlocky like Creature from the Black Lagoon in your backyard if you really wanted to, because they're just fun, open, do whatever you want kid kind of movies.
Right.
I was also going to say, it seems like these types of filmmakers have fun with the making of the film in a way that the viewer can also enjoy.
Yes, precisely.
Typically.
And they're creative in that
I also
way.
think the difference between you and Adam in that sense is that Adam strikes me the type who likes filmmaking, whereas Nico, you strike me a little bit more. Not that you don't like filmmaking, but that you prefer watching a movie so that it can make you feel something.
Certainly that, yeah.
Like you like the point of the movie, the message of the movie, the way the movie makes you feel. Where I think Adam is a little bit more appreciative of the actual procedure of making it.
Well, I think the simple way to put it is I like writing more. I think I like screenwriting more than I like directing.
Right.
So maybe that's the sensibility.
And I think Adam likes like cinematography a lot more than.
But I don't know, man. Like,
even directing, I would imagine.
I mean, you could watch 2001: A Space Odyssey as a kid and get the same sense of like, wow, the cinematography is incredible.
No, you could.
I think. Okay, no. Maybe not. But I'm
not saying it's incredible in these movies. I'm saying it's more fun, experimental.
I'm talking about content specifically, though. I want to know what it is about the content of and the schlockiness of these movies that's appealing to you as a kid over, say, a Disney Channel movie or Star Wars, even. Or I'm not saying you didn't like Star Wars, but what is it about this specific genre? Besides the DIY quality. That actually is a pretty good answer, though. That sounds about right to me.
What?
The DIY quality. The idea that, like, yeah, you could theoretically make it in your backyard, and you could see yourself making a movie like this. You couldn't necessarily see yourself making a movie like, I don't know, Apocalypse Now. You know?
I also think because this movie, it doesn't distract you with acting. It doesn't distract you with plot. It doesn't distract you with sound animation. It's purely just like, this is a camera and we're going to make a movie. Like, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's...
I think I don't know. Maybe
I just know that it's a through line. That's all.
Because I pull back a bit. Like, I love feeling in a movie more than anything, and that's part of the reason why I step away from something like Disney. Like, I think, like, I never watched Disney anything really growing up. I really didn't. I didn't really watch SpongeBob. Every once in a while I'd go over to a friend's house and we'd watch it, but it's not like when I was in my own home I would flip it on. It would always be something like this, if I'm being honest, just because the content was more fun to me. It's not so much that it made me think. As a little kid, I don't give a fuck what I'm thinking about, but it's just like, oh yeah, this is exciting, and this other stuff doesn't do anything for me. I can't even relate to it. Like the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I didn't give a shit about because I couldn't live that life, and they're doing stupid shit.
Yeah, but I liked that.
No,
I mean, that's just something I enjoy.
Nico, what if it's the other way around?
There's nothing. See, stuff
Explain.
What if it's people who are attracted to these like poorly made movies are led to believe that it's easy to make movies, and so they go after that as their dream?
Nah, I don't know about that.
Well, for people with bad taste,
all right,
like Neil Breen,
yeah.
They decide, wow, anybody can make a movie.
No, but it's also people with good taste too, though.
Maybe they develop that later.
I don't look at, but I never even looked at something like Clerks. Like, anybody could make Clerks. You couldn't necessarily write Clerks, but you could certainly shoot that film.
Right.
But that's not a film that really spoke to me in terms of, like, I don't know, like filmmaking.
And that's a movie that did to me growing up.
That's very different. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I don't quite know what the sensibility is. And I think this might be at the heart, when we talk about the differences between you and me in terms of film tastes, I think this is the central question. I think there is a type of movie, you know it when you see it, that inspires a lot of filmmakers and that inspired you growing up. Mm-hmm. And to me, maybe I'm a little more character driven. Maybe I like worlds and a sense of place.
See, I like that probably more than you do.
Like, for example, like I watched a sitcom, or I watched like The Simpsons growing up, and I thought, I want to hang out in Springfield. Like, that was the sense. Not that this is hilarious, which I thought it was funny. Not that, it was well written or well performed or well animated. I just thought, I want to hang out in Springfield. Bikini Bottom, I want to go there. You know, that I love that sense of place. These movies feel just like disposable. Like, I couldn't hang out in the Piranha universe. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what I was searching, but maybe that's because I'm more character driven than you are. I don't know.
Let me give you an example. I love spending time in the Alien universe. It's part of the reason why I love the first Alien so much. As disturbing as that movie is, that movie is just like thrilling in that way. I love the sense of place in that, and it's exciting and it's interesting and it's very, very different. And there's just something about it. And regardless of how cold it is, I'm just fascinated by that entire thing. Same with Mad Max, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't, or Blade Runner, same thing. So it's, I don't know. I don't, because sense of place is very important to me. Whereas like I look at something like Simpsons and I don't look at it quite that way. There's a bit of a, honestly, I love the Simpsons, early Simpsons, don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily watch that thinking like I want to be transported to Springfield.
That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted to do was go to the places in the TV shows and get to know those characters.
Well, I just wanted to watch the show and see their various like hijinks and whatnot. It's very different than me being like, oh, I'm going to go to Springfield today and I'm going to turn on Channel 3 or whatever.
To me, it was comfort.
Yes.
It was habit. It was comfort. I knew it was going to be on at this time. I knew I was going to spend X amount of time with these characters, and I treasured that time.
And here's the thing, me like putting on my like DVD copy of Alien was very comforting.
Maybe it's just because I'm into TV more than you are too. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, because like similarly with Anaconda, but I don't know if I want to be in the world of Anaconda though, is the thing.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that, but like I've seen movies like Piranha, plenty of films like Piranha, or Critters is another interesting example, but I don't want to visit the world of Critters. I just like how much fun they're having making that movie. Yeah. You know, there's so much creativity that you can just like feel, you know, but in regards to just the way the performances are cued or to the many special effects. It's more about, I guess, the magic show of it all in a weird way. They're like the Meyerowitz stories ain't a magic show at all.
See, to me, I find it to be a magic show.
It's not, though.
In its writing, I do.
I don't think you can rightfully call it that, though, in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Certain in writing, I don't even consider writing to be necessarily a magic show. That's just music.
Okay.
Like that's like a Sorkin script. It's just music.
Right.
And it's great in that way, but it's very, very different than the process of like shooting a movie. That's magic.
Wow. Okay. I think we're getting somewhere today. That's an excellent point. I never thought about the DIY aspect of it. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point because, I never grew up. Although I loved movies. You have to understand, like I was obsessed with movies growing up. I never thought I'd love to be behind the camera on the set of E.T. I never put myself in the position of Steven Spielberg. I put myself in the position of Elliot. I put myself in the position of the alien, never of Spielberg. You know, I watch The Godfather. I don't put myself in the position of Coppola. I think about Sonny and Fredo and Michael. And, you know, I think that's maybe the difference.
Maybe. I certainly did that with something like Terminator. That's one of my favorite examples where it's just like, wow, this would have been a great movie to make.
Yeah.
I would have loved to make, even though I just for its general content, like just what is happening. I just love it on that level anyway. Like just putting myself in the position of the characters. I can still do that. And I always did. But there was another part of me that was always like, you know, what would it have been like to maybe get this shot? I don't know.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, no, it's interesting because I like these layers of how deep into the movie did you put yourself, and not to sound stupid because it's going to sound stupid at first until I explain, but I never took myself out of the seat from the audience. I never did, and I loved movies growing up. I would constantly go to the movie theater and watch movies. I wasn't like you guys, though. I didn't watch movies at home all the time, once in a while, but like I wasn't, constantly watching movies. And I definitely wasn't watching, big, really well-loved movies necessarily.
Oscar bait films.
Right. I watched those in theaters.
You weren't rewatching The English Patient over and over again.
Nobody was.
I saw what was in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw what the commercials on TV told me to see, Yep. But for me, the thing about movies was, and the reason I still love the movie theater and that experience, even though it's almost kind of archaic at this point.
It's gone, man.
Is it's just for me, it was always a thing I did with my dad.
Oh, okay.
And it's just always been a thing for me that, like, this is an experience I shared with my dad. We would hang out, we'd go see a movie, get some popcorn, have some soda, and that was always just like the experience for me.
Interesting.
And so for me, I think I can never separate that. When I watched a movie, it was never... maybe it sounds kind of stupid, but the movie was never as good as the experience of just hanging out with my dad.
Because to me, the movie was
in a way
the experience. It was always the experience.
So for you, the movie was your friend.
The
movie was your dad.
There's only a handful.
My dad's a movie.
There's only a handful of experiences I can think of off the top of my head where the experience, like the movie and then just going to the film, was like bigger than that. Like when I first saw Hellboy, that was a very, very special moment for like me and my dad and whatnot. And we both loved that movie, and it just made it better that the movie was really freaking good.
Yeah.
But then like the first Harry Potter movie was a similar thing with my mom, and then the last Harry Potter again with my mom.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, I definitely had those too. I don't think it's a coincidence that when I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was one of the most anticipated movies of the last couple of years for me, I took my dad. I felt like that was really important to have him there with me because I didn't trust anybody else to share the experience with, you know. And that's still something I get. Like I think about Whiplash, one of my favorite movies ever. Really, it's like close to my top 10. And I think about the fact that the main character still goes to the movies with his dad, even though he's studying at this extravagant art college. I just think it's really cool. There's something shared about that experience, and I do think like if you're not a movie fan, you're probably missing that element of it. I think that's probably a pretty common through line, is that it's something your dad introduces you to. You know, it's not normally a maternal thing. I'm sure it happens, but it's not really a thing, and it's also not something. This might be one of the reasons why there aren't as many women filmmakers as there are men. Maybe. You know, it may just be they weren't introduced by their fathers to Star Wars. You know? They weren't introduced to the Disney movies from their fathers.
I mean, for a long time, movies were mostly just made for men.
Yeah, that's true too. Obviously, yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's something. The father-son thing is an interesting thing to pin down for sure.
Well, I think it's the same reason a lot of people like baseball.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
It's that same kind of thing. You know, the stuff we do when we're young with our parents in a lot of ways shapes us pretty drastically. So,
of course it does.
You know, that was what always I think really made me appreciate going to the movies and just watching a movie. And you know, it's also probably why I'm not too picky.
Right.
You know, no, really. I mean,
yeah, it didn't matter for you. You were just with your dad.
True.
Right.
Yeah, the quality didn't matter. This got really fucking deep. Whoa! What just happened there?
That was a good talk, guys.
Can we end now? Can we just stop?
It's interesting though. Like,
damn, man.
Yeah, because it speaks to why I liked Crawl so much. So yeah, it's a similar movie in a lot of ways.
Crawl?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Crawl was very good. It's worth it. I actually highly recommend it if you just want a good time in the theater. It's not trying to be.
Last time I went to the movies, I saw 2 trailers that just blew me away, which was Crawl and It Part 2.
Okay. I mean,
really quick, It Part 2. Holy shit. I know it's probably like months old at this point, but holy shit, that trailer.
You're just knowing about it now?
God. No, I saw this like 2 months ago. We just never talked about it.
Okay. No,
just holy shit. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it looks awesome. It looks
that is fucking. I still haven't seen it, and I kind of want to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the old one.
You don't need to see the old one.
You would like the new one, though.
I kind of think I want to go see the new one and then go see Part 2 right after.
I think it's out in theaters. I think they did a re-release.
Have your thoughts changed at all on the original It?
Yeah, I've warmed to it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure I have.
Because I watched it again and I was like, this is still a solid movie. I really like it.
I remember wanting a little bit more when I saw it. Maybe it was the hype. I don't know. Yeah, I've warmed up to it. I've rewatched it a few times when it's been on HBO and stuff.
Cool.
What I like about some of these new horror movies that are sort of coming out, back to Piranha here, is I think horror movies are starting to get better generally.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh god, yeah.
I think that for a very long time they were just very bad, generally speaking. There have always been a few good horror movies, but most of the good horror movies that really existed weren't just horror movies. And I'm not talking about Friday the 13th, because at the end of the day, those aren't really good.
No.
They're just not. I mean, they are what they are.
Yeah.
People like them. But I'm talking about a movie like Alien or something, where it was a good horror movie, but it wasn't purely a horror movie.
Yes.
And
or The Shining, even though I know you don't like The Shining.
Exactly.
Same example. Yep. Same.
No, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, which is that a young generation of filmmaker grew up worshiping horror and worshiping the schlocky fare, but they came to it with better film expertise than those that were making the movies in the 70s, and a sense of obligation to make that genre worth seeing.
And some of these new movies, like the Conjuring series that's been out, and like Insidious, and then we also have the It series that they just remade, and some of these are really phenomenal.
I think Insidious gets a bad rep. I think it's actually quite great.
It's incredible. It's one of my favorite horror movies I've ever seen.
I like, honestly, the first three I think are very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Ari Aster's doing great stuff, even though he's disturbing the hell out of me in Midsummer. You know,
he should be doing that though. But I think like stuff like that, like because I always grew up with horror, you know, in my household. Not like that.
Oh no,
horror films. Let me specify.
Yep.
But yeah, like I always. There's something about the craftsmanship to movies like that that just makes you, I don't know, there's something oddly inspiring about them. They are some of the most important films for future filmmakers. I feel like you're right about that, where it seems like a lot of filmmakers cite old horror films as really their starting point.
Right. And in many cases, bad ones.
Yeah,
not just good horror movies, like bad horror movies.
You're right. But again, there's a level of craftsmanship and like technical ability, and just like, again, what I was saying before, there's a high degree of the magic show that's going on with horror films. There's so many tricks.
So I want to talk about Piranha really quick here.
Okay.
I actually do want to talk about the movie because I have something to say.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
This is a good time to jump into that, I think, based on what we're talking about here.
Great.
This movie was completely crafted around a single concept, a single scene. Mm-hmm. All right? Adam, you didn't see this, but there's a scene.
Okay.
You can begin every sentence with those words, by the way. Every comment. Adam, you didn't see this scene, but
go ahead.
If you followed my Twitter posts, my live tweets last night as I watched it, I did tweet out a YouTube clip of this scene because it blew me away that much.
Yes, I did follow some of these tweets, by the way.
So a bunch of little kids are playing in the river or the lake or whatever you want to call it. And they just keep filming the camera slightly above water, slightly underwater. You see all the kids and their floaties, their feet are kicking underwater, and it's just very tense. And you know they're splashing around, and you know the piranhas are going to come, but the kids have no idea. And then suddenly kids essentially start dropping. Kids are getting dragged under the water, blood everywhere. The camp counselors as well. Some of them are getting attacked. The daughter of the main character, man... I don't remember his name right now, but the daughter who's afraid of the water, that's sort of the plot here.
Paul is the name of the main man.
Yeah. So she's afraid of the water for some reason, but it turns out she was right. But even though she's scared of the water this whole time, when there is no threat, as soon as there's a threat, she grabs a boat, she starts paddling in to go save the camp counselor who's nice to her and try and help people and get them to a shore. And it's just all of these... The fact that this movie had the balls to kill children, and these kids were getting dragged under, and there's just like the water's just turning red. That scene was truly, actually horrifying to watch, and very suspenseful. The rest of the movie was literally just shit garbage filled in to get to that point, and then to conclude the rest of it afterwards.
So is this like the climax of the
No, this is like in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the climax. It's towards the end. It's like third act, but yeah.
I would say it's end of second act.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
Because third act is another attack that happens later, and then the guy stopping the piranhas. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's just...
So yeah, this entire movie was built, in my opinion, around the vision of this scene. Somebody had this idea in their head, and they said, you know what would be horrifying? This.
Right.
Let's make it. And then everything else was just shit.
I get that.
Huh.
You know, funny you say that, because that's honestly lots of movies where they come up with a singular vision. It's not even necessarily a fully fledged, like, realized scene. It's just like, what if we did this? And then they build an entire movie around that. Nicholas Winding Refn famously, Jesus, this is so stupid. He made Only God Forgives with the image of someone closing their fist. He's like, I like this. I want to make a movie about that.
Which, by the way, it's not always a bad thing.
No, I agree.
Sometimes, like, the best ideas come from the smallest seeds, and you have to work your way out.
I think Halloween famously.
Here's the big issue with this movie, is that in order to get there, and in order to conclude the movie afterwards, it's all lazy.
Oh, yeah.
This scene was not lazy. But the rest of the movie is lazy, including the plot. They go, well, how are these piranhas going to get out there and start attacking? We'll have an abandoned army base. They're experimenting. They make scientifically produced killer piranhas. Some people will accidentally release them.
Interesting.
And You know, and
one
then
of them
how are
will
we
be
going to stop
topless in
them?
the process.
Right. How are we going to stop them? Oh, well, you know what saves the day, Adam?
What?
Pollution.
Pollution? What do you mean pollution?
Saves the day.
How
They
so?
pollute the water to kill the piranhas.
What? Yeah. Wow, that's anti-environmentalist.
I
I
will
believe
say
the
this,
line
I
is,
really-
it'll kill anything.
I do really like that this is probably the first horror movie where they use pollution to save the day instead of it being about how pollution is going to kill us all.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting
So
thought.
I appreciated that. But yeah, it just kind of bothered me that it was so lazy to get to that point.
Here's my
They could have
problem.
just made a
go ahead,
10-minute film. They could have just made that scene.
Yeah.
And it would have been an infinitely better thing to watch.
Okay.
Here's my problem. I think it's kind of a tweener movie. I think it's between two types of movies, and it doesn't exactly know what it is. On one side, it's a legitimate schlocky horror film, and on the other side, it's a Jaws parody.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. It was because it came out in 1970, and I was just wondering, like, is this simply just a Jaws ripoff?
It is. It 100% is. And it's kind of making fun of Jaws, but not really. There is an evil mayor character. Well, I don't know if he's the mayor. Who does that guy play?
He's a senator.
Okay. There's an evil senator character that keeps the county fair open despite knowing that there are piranhas in the lake because he wants to drive revenue to the town.
Okay.
So it's, yes, you know what I'm saying there. It's literally borrowed specific scenes from Jaws.
It's quite literally Jaws.
Yeah, the two lovers.
There's literally a military colonel who's kicking people off of his boat if they're trying to save themselves, even though he knew full well. You know, what this... You know, I think about how this movie came out in the 70s, and I'm like, the commentary on what this director and writer think about people in the military and think about politicians.
Yeah. I wasn't exactly clear on the motivation of those figures.
No, they're just saying, like, they're corrupt, they're making backroom deals, and they don't care about people. Like, that was it. Like, they didn't even really explain what the backroom deal was, other than the colonel called the senator, and the senator let him get on a private boat at the fair.
Right.
But they made hints that, like, they're doing some shady dealings or something.
Did they want the townsfolk to get eaten by the piranhas, though?
No. No. Why would they?
I mean, I just don't
No,
think...
so remember, the colonel was saying, it's impossible. The piranhas aren't smart enough to go downstream.
Right.
So they just strictly didn't believe that the piranhas would go.
Right.
All right.
And then there's the moment where, sir, they're eating the guests. The piranhas are eating the guests.
What?
It's very stupid, Adam.
Yeah.
They're eating the guests.
Yeah, that's a line from this movie. Yeah.
Oh my
They're
God.
eating the guests, sir. Yeah, man. Sure, it is right on the line between a Jaws ripoff and a Jaws spoof. And I'm not sure what exactly it is. I don't know if it's a good parody, nor do I think it's a good horror movie. But I do think that there are some glimpses of good filmmaking in here. I think there's some solid stuff. Joe Dante is the guy behind the original Piranha.
He directed it?
Yeah.
He made Gremlins.
Yes, he did.
What?
He directed Gremlins, Gremlins 2, The Burbs with Tom Hanks.
Holy shit.
He did that segment in the Twilight Zone movie.
Wow.
It's a Good Life, which is actually one of the better segments from the Twilight Zone movie. Went on to do Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Wow.
Sort of became a TV director for the next 10 years. And just came out with a movie last year called Nightmare Cinema. Which I heard was actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I heard some okay things about it. So, Joe Dante, a solid filmmaker, I would say. A guy that's been in and out of the business for a while. This was like his debut film. And again, I don't know exactly if he knows what the movie is supposed to be. And that's sort of the problem that I'm having with it. I thought like some of the attack sequences, as you said, specifically at the camp, were quite effective. They don't linger on the piranhas all that much. I think just for practical reasons, it's just hard to do CGI like that underwater in 1978. So you have these shots of the piranhas just sort of lunging at people, and you hear the snipping sound, and it's almost more disturbing than a piranha biting a guy's dick off and spitting it out. It's actually way more disturbing than that because it feels real and tangible. You know, so you just hear it.
I see.
And it's like things are clipping at you and you can't get them off.
Okay.
And it's very troubling. Those scenes are troubling. And then it also uses restraint, too. It's a lot of just blood packets exploding in the ocean. You don't see a lot of the gore firsthand.
Gotcha. Because, I mean, the remake is so gory.
Right.
It's like it's so excessive to the point where it starts to be like you're. I've never been so desensitized to gore in my entire life in a movie, probably than Piranha 3D. Maybe one of the goriest films I've ever seen.
Wow.
I was also gonna say that like this movie seemed like it was pretty cheap to make as far as the monster, because it literally was the same shot of piranhas underwater used multiple times, and then people would just fall in and blood.
Yeah.
And so it was mostly just people like going under red water, you know, but the effect was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think they made the most of it.
Yeah, and then in later scenes, they did put a little extra effort in to make it a little more, you know, they actually do show some of the piranhas actually sort of biting you, and it looks a little cheesy, but it is so kind of fast-paced, and there are so many of them that it's still a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking.
It's not terrible.
It's the movie.
Yeah,
the movie's not terrible.
Yeah, I really don't think it's that bad.
I mean the horror elements are not terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think the plot is absolutely stupid.
Right.
Okay.
So explain the plot real fast, and then I'm going to poke some holes in it.
Sure. So, I mean, okay. So it starts out like any schlocky horror movie where two teens are sneaking out at night to go, you know, be up to shenanigans, and then they get killed by piranhas. So they sneak into this abandoned army base, and they die. And of course there are boobs right off the bat. So, you know. And then the movie takes place with a character who her job is to find missing people. And so these two kids are missing. I will say this. I appreciate that they actually make mention that the kids who died actually went missing, and people were like, where did they go? Because so many horror movies don't.
Right.
You know, people die and then like it just goes 2 months later and nobody cares. Like, you know.
Just a little question. Teeny tiny question.
Yeah.
What exactly is this chick's job? Because there's no way this is a real thing. People
I don't know.
find her. What is she?
I thought she worked for a newspaper at first, but then she was saying that she finds missing people. It seems
Don't
like
detectives do that?
So it seems like she works for a newspaper, but it seems like she's also a missing persons unit worker.
Right.
So
I'm pretty sure they call them detectives.
Well, I'm wondering if she is is
she a private investigator?
I'm wondering if she's an investigator for a newspaper or something like that.
Who's funding this shit, man?
I guess the newspaper.
You know, that's a common question he asks a lot. Who is funding this shit? You do that frequently.
No, but seriously, who's paying for this?
Well, Adam, you got to follow the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in Halloween, like how do these podcasters pay for an interview? Like,
oh yes, that was a big issue I had with Halloween.
It's like
no podcast in the history of mankind has had that kind of budget, where they are sending reporters out in the field to interview Michael Myers at his insane asylum. No way.
You didn't think that they were like independent? They were just. It was just them. And
I can verify firsthand. We do not have the money for that. No podcaster has the money for that.
I'm not saying they made money off of the podcast, though.
Then they're operating at a massive loss. That's all I'm saying. No amount of MeUndies ads is going to be able to recuperate the cost of driving to Michael Myers' insane asylum and then banging on Laurie Strode's front gate. No way, bro.
But you're acting as if we wouldn't do that.
Oh, I would interview Michael Myers.
Right, I would drive out there.
If we had the money, we just wouldn't.
What do you mean if we had the money?
I don't buy
it. Anyways.
No, I just want to know if this is a real job. I don't know. Again, I don't remember.
You know, in this universe it is.
Okay. So she's just a young, hot lady that shows her boobs at one point in the movie.
Multiple times.
I think just the once.
Well, that's evident in the remake, too, by the way. Kind of.
Well, and she's like... Yeah, it's really...
Okay.
So she's going out trying to find these kids, right? She encounters a guy who lives in the woods near where they went missing, and she just barges in his house, and she's like, "You're taking me to go help find these kids," and he's like, "Huh?" And so he joins her.
Banana na na na.
Cue to comedic scene of woman driving. Ha ha ha. 70s.
Right.
And then seriously, and then they break into the army base because that's what you do.
They broke into an army base?
An abandoned
army base
I was
where
gonna say,
the teens likely went missing.
Okay. You don't just break into an army base. It doesn't work that way.
This wasn't a Storm Area 51 situation. They can't stop us all.
Oh my God. Yeah. So she busts in and They find coffee that's still warm. And then they cut to the scientist. Now, really quick, what the fuck was that creature?
I'm so happy you brought this up.
Okay, so Adam, they're in this room.
Okay.
And all of a sudden in the background is a little alien creature that just like sort of peeks out and just throughout the scene continues to peek out and run away and hide. No mention of it ever again.
He's just there to scamper.
He's just there to be like, this is a mad scientist.
Right, yeah, it's like Cousin It, essentially. It's just like a random creature that hangs out with the scientist because the scientist needs a friend. It's his version of a dog.
Pull up my Twitter feed.
It's just a random like non sequitur and
right.
Yeah, look at the live tweets I did last night, and you can see the picture of the creature.
Right. So,
if you want.
Well, the thing about this lab, though, is that he has a bunch of creatures. He's been doing genetic testing on not just piranhas, but other shit. So there's a bunch of creatures in like fish tanks and stuff.
Okay.
But this specific creature was stop motion animation, and it was very brief and sudden. And I got to be honest, that was the scariest part of the movie for me. When I first saw this thing, I was freaked out. I'm like, what the fuck?
I had to pause it and go rewind and watch it again.
Yeah, I was like, what is this creature going to do? Why is he here? Is he going to attack our heroes from behind? It really freaked me out. It was unsettling. Also, the way that he scampered in the animation style, stop motion just generally freaks me out.
It was stop motion?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
And I couldn't tell. You're right. It looked like an alien version of a dog, kind of, but it was way tiny. More like a naked mole rat. Mm-hmm. You know? Have you seen it?
Not yet. Not yet.
It kind of had piranha elements, too. It was weird.
Sorta.
It had like a little fin up top and stuff and a little shark face.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
I know.
Yeah.
What the hell? What is that?
So I swear that made like maybe 3 appearances in a 5-minute span, and that was it.
Yeah,
and
they didn't even
about.
mention it, though. They didn't speak about it. It was just there.
That's weird. I kind of love that, though.
Fucking weird.
That's the kind of thing that I would do in a movie.
So in this scene, she decides to drain the pool up top at the army base because they want to look for the missing teens. As soon as she does this, the scientist breaks out. He's like, "What have you done?"
Yeah.
Because they just released the piranhas into the water. And then the rest of the movie is them slowly just trying to get downstream to warn people and stop the piranhas. They go on first a homemade raft with the scientist who they beat the shit out of.
No nails in the raft. Seems like a brief oversight.
They specifically mention, I love that they specifically mentioned there are no nails in this raft made completely with ropes. Well, the piranhas start eating the ropes.
Of course they do.
And breaking it apart. They also save a small child pretty much at the death of the scientist. He risks himself to save a small boy.
That's his son. Isn't it?
No. The boy's father died right in front of him.
I thought he said that's my dad. That died.
No, the dad was on the boat with the son who died.
Okay.
Then the scientist jumped in and tried to save the boy.
Okay.
Okay. So they save this boy. Scientist is pretty much dead. They end up getting captured by the military. So just remember this part, okay? They assault a soldier, break out of a military camp, and steal a military jeep. Then they get captured by police.
Yeah.
Then they get put in jail. Then they assault a police officer, break out of jail, and steal a cop car.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? You following?
Following.
Then they continue down. They get to the little kids where Paul, the main character guy's daughter, is camping on the lake. They get there, and they see the kids getting attacked by the piranhas, and they save them right in the nick of time.
Including the main character's daughter.
Okay.
Right? Who's a hero. And then they continue on downstream towards the fair, the county fair or whatever.
Yeah, this entire town exists on the river.
Good for that.
Mention that too.
I've never seen this many people on the river at the same time on the same day.
Yeah.
In my life.
Ever.
In a van down by the river.
Everyone in the town is hanging out in the river that day.
And so they get down there just in time for everybody to be attacked. And then they steal a boat, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Then they go even further downstream. And
what
they
was
go
that shot of the boat ramming into another boat in a fiery
Yeah, so they do
blaze?
this weird scene where this guy's jet skiing and these two girls are driving the boat and they're like, he hasn't fallen off the jet ski yet. We got to speed up. And they're being like, jerks. But that's what you do to your friends, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to make him wipe out. Well, as he's driving along, he sees a dead body floating in the water and he's trying to tell them, stop, stop, stop. And they keep going faster. And then they slow down and then the piranhas are catching up to him. So he says, go faster, go faster. It's a whole nonsense scene. They end up driving this boat so fast that this guy on the skis, the water skis, ends up going at a weird angle. Another boat is coming by, hits him, breaks the rope, he goes flying, and then that other boat rams into another boat and explodes.
Just a random boat that's just kind of sitting there?
All of this happens without the piranhas doing anything.
Yeah, that was my confusion too.
And then they just cut away, and they're like, okay, that's done now. Like, they just wanted an explosion.
Right, that's all it was.
Wow, I really want to see this movie.
You would definitely like it.
This sounds like my kind of film.
You would definitely like it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and then finally at the end, he breaks underwater, breaks into this pollution thing, and turns on the pollution.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly kills all the piranhas.
Supposedly.
And then they end with a shot of piranhas in the ocean.
Of
or
course.
just the ocean, I guess.
Right.
Just an implication.
It's implied. Yeah.
It's no surprise that happens.
And there's the evil lady, the fish geneticist, that is like, now I think
Who
all the
works for the
piranhas are
military.
taken care of now. But, these dark forces
And
are
she's
still
like,
at work.
they couldn't survive in the salt water.
Right, even though
And
they
then
were
cut to-
genetically engineered that way.
Oh my god.
Right.
You
So
know-
that's essentially the whole movie in a nutshell.
Figures. It seemed like that kind of small, efficient little film like that, that's just about people getting eaten by fish.
I don't know if I'd call it efficient, but...
No.
I mean, it's short. It's an hour and a half.
Efficient would be, if you assault the soldier, why would you have to assault a cop later? I think just cut that part out. Like,
I love this. I love the seducing of the cop, or the soldier, I should say.
The soldier. There is this scene where she comes out and he's like, seduce the soldier so we can escape. And so she goes outside and she's like, are you gay? And he's like, huh? And then she goes, look up there, it's Superman. And then she flashes her tits. And then Paul comes out behind and smacks him on the head and knocks him out.
I think that's unnecessarily complicated. I don't think you need to go through all that just to knock out a cop. I don't know.
Yeah. I particularly liked "Are you gay? Look, there's Superman. Flash his tits." That is a very interesting methodology.
Yeah, all very
I think it would
different
distract
things.
me as well. That combination of questions, statements, and breasts.
I would certainly be confused.
Yeah. So, master plan right there.
Okay, fair enough.
To a degree, it's impressive that they break out of both an army camp and a prison in the same night.
Jesus Christ. Well, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, it's a silly movie.
Yeah,
silly plot, silly movie. It's definitely of its time. It is sort of exactly what you expect. Again, tonally, I'm not sure it knows exactly what it is. There's some weird music choices that are like overly dramatic at some points, but then it sort of devolves into spoof at other points. It's a very strange combination of the two of them. But like, if you're into this thing, I can recommend for sure. And we'll see if Piranha 2 follows up on the promise of this first movie or not. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Cool. Anything else, Nick, you had?
No. I'm looking forward to seeing some of James Cameron's work.
Some of James Cameron's work? Yeah, man, this is quality. This is top tier.
Are we doing that next week? Is that the plan?
Unless Adam watches Piranha 3 Double D instead. Sure.
Is that how it works? I watched a completely different film that we don't even talk about.
What do you think about Piranha 3D? For 2 minutes, I'll give you, because we're not doing it this month. In case you hadn't heard,
it's very, very self-aware, incredibly gory, very, very stupid movie, but it's fun. It's a shit ton of fun. It's I think the film's self-awareness really helps it. Otherwise, it'd be very easy to hate. I mean, just some wonderful set pieces though, like Ving Rhames in the water chopping up piranha and getting eaten. It's pretty great.
Did the 3D benefit the film at all?
No, but actually, no, not at all. In fact, it's actually kind of terrible. Literally, that dick scene I was talking about, that's a 3D moment where it's just floating in the middle of the screen.
Did you watch this in 3D somehow?
Oh, no, but it's painfully obvious what scenes are 3D. But honestly, those are the better 3D films where they're like, oh my God, look at the thing coming towards the camera.
I love the cheesy, like very obnoxious 3D rather than like the it's 3D just cause. So we could charge you an extra $2. You know,
I agree. Yeah.
Like if you're gonna go through the effort, I want to watch Spy Kids 3D, right?
Amen. Mm-hmm. Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Right. If you're gonna go through the effort of making a 3D movie and I'm paying for those fucking glasses, it better be a 3D movie,
bro. Like, if they still had the red and blue glasses in 3D theater, I think that would make me more likely to go see a movie in 3D. I'm not kidding.
It's so funny because the red and blue, they just realized years later that it was so impractical when you could literally just make two slightly different shades of gray.
Yep.
And it literally would have the exact same effect.
I like the red and blue better, though.
Well, there's something about it. It's so 90s or...
Yeah, it's incredible.
Even earlier than
80s,
that. Oh, my God.
70s?
Yeah.
I don't even know when 3D...
Like
really...
70s, 80s. I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's just been very, very shoddy. You know?
You know?
All right. Let's play a game. How many Careys?
Well, that was different.
Gotta change it up.
That was nasty, man.
Pick someone from your Piranha movie. How about that, Adam?
My Piranha movie?
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Okay. Christopher Lloyd.
My Piranha movie.
Doc Brown.
We're doing Doc Brown for Piranha? Like,
yeah.
This is just so weird.
Christopher Lloyd.
That movie's a stacked, weird ass fucking cast. Like
I'm trying to think if there's anybody in this Piranha movie, but there isn't. There's nobody in it.
Nobody.
And we could maybe do the director, but
yeah, you could almost.
But I kind of think I want to watch Nightmare Cinema now at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Unless that's more of a movie hopping film, but I don't think it is.
I don't imagine it is. No.
Let me look at the cast of Piranha 3D though.
Christopher Lloyd might be fun though. I mean, what else are we gonna do, Christopher Lloyd?
I guess Richard Dreyfuss is in that.
Nah.
Ving Rhames.
Christopher Lloyd, of course, of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Is that what you think?
Clue the movie.
And the only movie he's ever done.
Clue the movie. Hasn't really worked recently, has he? Well,
Elizabeth Shue, Adam Scott, Jerry O'Connell, O'Connell, yeah. Richard Dreyfuss, Stephen R. McQueen. I don't know who the fuck this is. Eli Roth. Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Dina Meyer's in that. Holy shit. All right.
Yeah, we'll do Doc Brown. That's fine.
All right, yeah,
All right.
I'm fine with that.
Christopher Lloyd. I'll go first because I don't normally go first. I think he's probably got a lot in the bank, Christopher Lloyd, if I had to guess.
All right.
If I had to guess. So I'm going to say 8.25 Christopher Lloyds to get to one Drew Carey, somewhere around $20 million.
All right. I am going 5.5, so I'm saying he's worth $30 million.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to say it takes 20 Christopher Lloyds for Drew Carey. So 8 million-ish, 8.5.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
All right.
Solid. 30. Yeah. I'm comfortable with mine.
Okay, so let's repeat one more time.
I'm going 30 million, so 5.5.
5.5. I went 20 million, so that's 8.25. And Nick?
Mm-hmm. About 8 million, so about 20 Doc Browns for one Drew Carey.
All right.
Well, the actual net worth of Dr. Emmett Brown, Christopher Lloyd, $50 million.
Whoa.
That's 3.3 Drew
Damn.
Careys. That just means that Adam won this week's edition of How Many Drew Careys?
A lot of
How
money.
many weeks have I won?
It's almost like he went back in time and like bet on a baseball game or something.
Like,
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, holy shit. Like, I'm on a roll. Yeah, once you brought me back, I was just like killing it.
Yeah, I don't like that we brought you back from suspension and you dominated this. It's not good at all.
A regular Tom Brady.
Hey, amen. It's literally Deflategate wins the Super Bowl.
That's exactly what it is. Holy shit.
I mean, he was in like one of the most iconic movies ever, and I'm sure he has a piece of the royalties on that.
I'm actually surprised he's worth that. Like, that's a lot of money. Like,
That is a lot
I
of
also
money.
think about it though, and like Back to the Future for its level of iconicism, I guess. I feel like it doesn't have that much like toys and
merchandising.
Not as much as like something like Star Wars or
or even like Ghostbusters.
Right. Maybe Ghostbusters is a better example because they're probably more on a level playing field.
Right.
I feel like it doesn't have that much in terms of that merchandising, so I didn't really think the money was there.
Well, it's like, no, I mean, everybody loves that movie, though. And I mean, like, the
That's
imagery.
true, and I guess they did make 3 of them.
That's
so,
true.
like,
Yes.
even if he didn't make that much from the first one, he made quite a bit from the sequels.
I mean, he was made
sure.
famous by Taxi, though, is the thing.
That's true, too.
You can't forget that.
Phenomenal.
Right, but the first one, it's like,
By the way, Taxi, y'all, might be the most underrated TV show of all time.
Underrated? Oh, Taxi's great.
Taxi is incredible,
Taxi's
man.
freaking
I'll
dope.
flip on an episode of Taxi, and it is right up there with all the great American sitcoms.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is so fucking funny. That scene where Christopher Lloyd is cheating on the exam.
Oh, God, it's so funny.
What does a yellow light mean? Slow down! What does a... Greatest scene possibly in American television right there.
Oh, my God, it's good stuff.
DeVito?
No, DeVito.
Puffy clouds, puffy clouds. He's writing a love poem. Puffy clouds, puffy clouds. It's great. Anyway.
Great show.
Great show. Great man, Christopher Lloyd. Good on you. Thanks for being you, Doc. Nick, what do you got for me?
What do you want, like a raise or something?
Yeah, something. Be nice.
Give him some money, Nick.
Get a Christmas bonus.
Be a sport.
Tough times these days.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming as usual. We're constantly pushing out these podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
So I know we've had new episodes of Get Blurted. We have a second episode of the Fantasy Book of the Month podcast. We're keeping busy.
That's good.
Make sure you check all that stuff out if you haven't yet.
TMT.media.
I'm realizing like this podcast does make up like a significant chunk of my life.
It does.
It really has like taken up a lot of time in a good way.
Yeah, I was telling Nico we got to start keeping track of our hours.
Yeah.
And
I lost
last
count
month
already.
I spent 60 hours on just podcast stuff, which is pretty good. That's
Part-time job.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's 15 hours a week easy, and that's editing videos and recording, and so it's this is it's been great. And
Yeah.
I agree.
we're doing a really good job, I think, so
I want to thank everyone that has given us such positive feedback online, by the way. I have received a number of comments, as a matter of fact. I've been sharing this thing on Reddit, and people have been really nice on there. And it's been growing slowly. And
What else have people been saying?
well, we got a lot of love for that River Wild podcast, Nick.
Really?
yeah, we did.
People
Yeah.
love the River Wild show. Mostly 2 Cents fans love the River Wild show. And so we may try to do that more often. Have Rob come on and we'll talk about one of the shitty movies that he loves from the 90s.
I've had some people, on Reddit as well say that they likewise is a thing in the fantasy book podcast. So, it's nice to hear that kind of stuff
Yeah, it's awesome.
once in a while.
And I like to think that once we get bought out by NBC, and we have a late
Right.
night talk show,
Yeah.
we will cherish these days when we were a little mom and pop operation.
When we used to have fun.
Yeah.
And now our souls are sucked dry.
Oh, before we sell out, it's nice to cherish these conversations. Guys,
I will
this
say
was
though,
a
I
nice
can't wait to
podcast.
sell out.
Oh, it's going to be glorious.
God, selling out is the best.
Oh, jumping into that pool of money like Scrooge McDuck. Can't wait for that day.
I'm going to be the one, guys, to be like, let's think about this for a second.
With my gold digging wife, mail order bride,
Oh, God.
sitting by the pool.
Values. How about value?
Oh,
there we go.
selling out's going to be sweet.
Guys, we should really consider this before we decide.
Fuck
something.
off. You're fired. You're
When
fired.
do you become the fucking moral compass of this show? Oh my God.
I did make us watch Pink Flamingos, so.
I was actually gonna say, every time it's just you two, you guys are absolutely filthy. You did another one recently where it was just you two, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
my God.
What was it? What do you mean?
What did we say that time?
What?
Oh, it's just the way you guys talk in general. You just spit out F-bombs, and oh my God, you're filthy. Bear in mind, when Zach comes back, we all have to be on our best behavior so he doesn't get fired from the military.
Oh God, that's gonna be so. Can we use a lot of like innuendos then?
As long as we're just not,
like literally saying the stuff.
Just we can't get him fired from the military. That's all.
Well, I mean, we could.
Let's try not to.
It'd be available. I'll tell you that much. It'll save us some Skype calls.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think that should be our goal, guys. Let's get Zach fired from the military.
No.
How about that?
All right, that's a show. Thanks for listening. I love you so very, very much. And until next time, you've all been so naughty.
No, say.